What's up guys, here's Sahin. Hello and welcome to my new Photoshop tutorial. In this one I'm going to show you two things. First, how to create a text effect or a content that looks like the film logo of the recent Spider-Man movies from the MCU, like Homecoming or Far From Home. And two, how to create a so-called mockup file. A mockup file is a template where like a design has already been generated or a look, and all you have to do is just to change the content of a so-called smart object. Like in this case, the content is a text layer. So when we're done and the Spider-Man text effect is finished, all you have to do is just change the content, like in your name, like instead of Spider-Man, just write your name, and it will adapt the values you've added earlier in the settings. And will just look like your name with the Spider-Man text effect, or in any other name you want. Alright, let's start. First we create a new document by pressing Command N or Strike N, or just go up here to File and click New. Alright, let's keep the values simple as always, like in the width 1500 pixels, in height 1000 pixels, resolution, and color mode is up to you. And the background color can stay like that for now because we're going to change it anyway. Alright, and all the settings are okay like that, and let's click Create. Alright, now we have our document. Before we add the text content, we create our background. For that, we use a so-called gradient layer, and that can be found down here in the adjustment layers. Click here and choose gradient. First we choose our colors here. Click here. And you can choose this one here, first one, and just change the colors. Like in this one, double click and change the values to 00, 18, 28. Alright, okay. And this one to 00, 44, 74. Alright, okay, and okay. And let's change the settings here to first the style to radial. And you see the color arrangement should actually be other way around. In that case, you can either go here again and change the colors and switch the colors, or just click here to reverse. Right? And dither for a smoother gradient. And you see the edges are a bit too sharp here. So let's increase the scale to 150%. Alright, that's it. Click OK. Now we have a background. And you can delete this background layer now. We don't need it anymore. And to make sure that this layer doesn't annoy us during the work process, we lock it by click here. Right, there you go, now it's locked, now it can't be selected or clicked. Alright, we have our background, and now let's create the text content by using the text tool here, or just press T. Alright, before we create the content, let's change the values here. First, the font is called Spider-Man Homecoming Regular. Right? And the text size, let's choose, let's say 200 points, right? And for the color, for the text color, click here, change the values to FEDB02, right? Okay, and let's change the alignment, the text alignment to center, all right? So you can just click here in the center, here. Alright, now we write Spider Guy. In this font, it's important that you use uppercase letters, because if you don't use lowercase letters, the content will look different. I'll come back to that later. First, let's confirm here. Alright, and now we make the first step to create a so-called mockup, because we have a content here and we're going to use or edit this content now in different levels. First, we go to this layer, to the text layer, make right click and convert it into a so-called smart object. There you go. It has changed here. The layer or the content is now wrapped in another document. And you can enter this document by just double clicking here. There you go. And even the document areas are now limited to the edges of the content. So if we change the content here, it will also, the settings will adapt the changes here in this document. If you see it here, we can switch here and here. All right, and what we do now first is to add a layer style to this layer. And that can be found here. And we choose gradient overlay. And now we change the settings here by first in the blending mode, change it to overlay, choose dither for a smoother gradient, and increase the opacity to maximum, and that's 100%, right? And the color tones are okay like that, except maybe the white is a bit too bright. Let's double click here and then here, make it a bit darker. There you go, to gray, right? There you go, okay, and okay. Right, and style reflected is also right. Just change the angle to 0 and increase the scale, let's say, to 80%. Right, that's it. Click OK. So there we go. It has a nice gradient here. And the next thing we do is to create another adjustment layer. But this time, when I go down here, this time we choose pattern. And you see I already have here a grid-like or a beehive-like pattern. There you go. You see it here. You can also create it yourself. It's not hard. And let's decrease the scale to 10% and click OK. And change the blending mode to overlay. And if you zoom here, click here again, there you see the grid also goes above this text content, and we don't want that. So how can we do this? Of course, we could just mask it, but the thing is, it is a mockup, so we don't want the user to change the mask every time when he or she changes the content. So how can we do this? We do this by creating a so-called clipping mask. For that, we go right-click here and click Create Clipping Mask. There we go. You see, the grid, the pattern is limited to the area of the content below the layer. There you go. And that's exactly what we need. All right. And click Command O or Strike O to fit the area or the document to the screen. And that's it now for this smart object. And all we have to do now is to press Command S or Strike S to save it. And if you pay attention here to the star, this means that the document is not saved yet and that it has been edited since the last save. So if we save now, let's press. There you go. The star is gone. And if we go back to the regular document, here, there you go. It has adapted, when we zoom here, it has adapted the settings we've just added to the smart object here. Yeah, you can see it here. Right? Let's press Command O again. And now we're going to work with this smart object and create several effects. First, we align it in the center. For that, we make sure that the layer is selected and press Command A and use the Move tool. First, click here to align it horizontal and here to align it vertical. There you go. Now it's centered. And cancel the selection by Command D or by pressing Command D or Strike D, or just go up here to select and deselect. And you see the text document is a bit too big. Of course, we can scale it by just clicking at one of the transformation tools here and change the values to, let's say, 80% and confirm. All right, what we have to do now is to make a perspective transform on this layer. And for that, we press Command T or Strike T, or we just go here to Edit. While this layer is selected, go to Transform and here, Perspective. There you go. And you see transformations pop up here. Or you just go to right-click and that's the same. All right, and now we grab here on the right bottom corner and we pull it, but while we do that we also hold the Alt button, so the transformation we create in this side also will be created on the other side. Like here. Now let's try it here. Hold Alt, there you go. Just a bit. You can see the values here that show up here. If I click here, there you go. See that? That little black window? Yeah, I think 5 is okay. Let's go. Let go and confirm. There you go. And the thing is now also with the smart object is that we added this perspective transformation to this one, but the content still remains the same. Like if we go back here you go, it still remains the same. So don't worry about the content that it changes or something. There you go. And now we add several layer styles to this layer. We go down here again, and the first thing we add is a stroke. All right, and with the settings, we start in the top. Let's increase the size to 3 pixels. Position outside, okay. Blend mode normal, opacity 100%. And let's change the fill type to gradient, right? And you see now a stroke has been created here, but that's not the colors we want. So we change them here and change the first color stop to BB0 800. Okay, and this one to FF7 55D. Okay, but first we have to create some copies of these color stops. For that, we first hold Alt and choose one of these color stops. Let's, like I choose this one, hold Alt and pull it. There you see, a copy has been created, and you pull it to the point where the location here, says 25. And you do the same now with this one and go to 75. Here you go. All right, that's it. Now we have a gradient for the first border and stroke, and click OK. And check dither for a smoother stroke. And if you press Command plus or Strike plus here, then you zoom in. All right, the border has been created. And now let's create another stroke by pressing here on the plus symbol and change the settings to 1 pixel size and click overprint so that this stroke is above this stroke here. This can be seen. And click overprint and change the fill type back to color and change the value of the color to FF B0. All right. Click OK. And the next style we add is a so-called inner shadow. That can be found here. If you click here, there you go. And the settings have to be first in the blend mode, soft light, black color is okay like that. And let's increase the opacity to maximum, 100%. Uncheck use global light and increase the values to first the distance to 15 pixels, the choke to 20%, and the size to 10 pixels. And that's it now for the first inner shadow. And again, we have to copy that style by pressing on the plus symbol and change the values, like first with the blend mode to multiply and the opacity to 70% and the distance to 5 pixels. And there you see. Now is this inner shadow here we've created. All right, and that's it now for this layer. And we click OK. There you see the several effects or layer styles we added here are now displayed. Now we can close this. And now we make a copy of this layer or duplicate this layer by pressing Command J or Strike J, or just go here to Layer and Duplicate Layer. Okay, we change the arrangement. The first one goes to the top, but the second layer now needs different layer styles. For that, we can either, here if we open this, or just double click here, we can either deactivate or uncheck these, or cancel it. Go to right click here and clear layer style. There you go, all layer styles are now gone. And we add a new layer style, and that's stroke again, but with different settings. The size is 2 pixels this time, and the color is we've chosen earlier, BB0800. Okay, and okay. And now we add a so-called little small extrusion here, or how you would call it, a little 3D effect. For that, we'll first here close this and duplicate this layer again by pressing Command J or Strike J. There you go. And we press right click and rasterize layer style. And we add a transformation to this layer, so the software saves this transformation so we can repeat it again and again and don't have to do this for every second layer. But to create an extrusion, the transformation has to be very small, and that's a problem for a smart object instead of a regular layer in what we just transformed this layer right now. Because if you can see it here, that symbol here is now gone. That means it's just a regular image layer. And that's why we have to add a transformation to this one, because if we do that with the smart object, it doesn't really save the transformation. So we just created this layer here just for the transformation only. And we start by selecting the layer, press Command T or Strike T. There you go. Make sure that the values here are changed to pixels, right? And minus 0.5 pixels. And for the vertical position, we add plus 0.5 pixels, right? And confirm here or just press enter. All right. Now this transformation has been created and the software has changed it, so we don't need this layer anymore, so we can delete it. And now we make sure that this layer is selected so we can create the extrusion, because for this extrusion is the reason why we changed the effects or the layer style in this layer before. And close it again. And now we hold Shift Alt Command or Shift Alt Strike and press T. There you go. A new layer has been created here. And now we do that again. And you see it now. Several layers have been created here. And here an extrusion is built. Because every time we press this shortcut, the transformation is added to the new layer again and again. These 4 layers, I think that's enough. And while this layer is selected, we hold Shift and select here to the last layer. Go to Layer, Arrange, and click Reverse. And if you keep your eyes here, you'll see what happens if I click here. There you go. This extrusion now looks much better, because the catch with this method to create an extrusion or 3D effect is that the arrangement of the layers is reversed and not right. And while these layers are selected, we press Command G or Strike G. I'll just go up here to Layer and click Group Layers. There you go. Now the layers for the extrusion only are wrapped in a folder. And to have a better overlook, we double click here and name it Extrusion Small, right? And now we add another small layer style to the folder itself and choose your color overlay and change the blend mode to multiply. Black color is okay. And decrease the opacity to 40% and click OK. All right. Let's close this. Now the extrusion looks a bit more realistic because of the black overlay. Now we're going to create an arrangement that is very similar to this, but this time for the bigger extrusion, so that the text looks like a real block. And for that, we need a layer with these same layer styles from this folder. So we open the folder and choose the final layer, because in the position it's in the lowest, and that's exactly what we need. So we select this and press Command J or Strike J. Right, it's copied, and we drag it out of the folder. Now you see that blue thin line there marks that the layer is outside of the folder, and so we can drop it and close the folder and drag this layer below the folder. And I've chosen one of these layers in this folder not only because of the position, but also because of the layer style. If we double click on the symbol here and go to stroke, and the one thing we have to change here is just the size here. Increase it to 6 pixels. There you go. You see it here, that a bigger stroke has been created. And let's click OK. All right. And now we have the surface of this block below. And now we have to create the extrusion. And we do that, as you can probably guess already. Select this layer and press Command J or Strike J. All right. And drag it below the layer again and double click on the effect symbol. First we change the stroke again. We keep the values here, except we uncheck overprint and change the fill type again to gradient. There you see, we have the same gradient we've created earlier. Let's double click here because this time we'll need other values. For that we first change the darker red tones to black. And this one. And change the lighter red tones to 4F0600. And we double click here and press Command-0-Strike-C so we can copy this value because we'll need it again now. Click OK, double click here and this marked and press Command-V-O-Strike-V, right? And click OK. Now we have our new gradient. Confirm again. And let's change the style to reflected. And that's it now for the stroke. And the new layer style we add now is the bevel and emboss. Let's start on the top again. Style in the bevel is okay. Technique, grizzle hard. Depth 150%. Direction down. Size 30 pixels. Soften 0. Uncheck use global light and change the angle to 45%. And then change in both highlight and shadow the modes to normal and the opacities to 100%. And the color of the highlight mode to the value we just copied earlier. Again, we double click here, press Command-V-O-Strike-V. There we go. Okay, and you see a preview here, how it looks. Right, and that's it. Let's click OK. So, and now we're going to use this layer as a basic to create an extrusion like we did it earlier here with the small extrusion, with a small block. And for that, we'll do again what we did earlier. We duplicate the layer, unless you already haven't transformed anything again, because the software still saved the transformation. But to be sure, I'll do it again for you. So we make sure that the layer is selected and press Command-J or Strike-J. There we go. Right click and rasterize layer style. So we transform it into a regular layer. Press Command-T or Strike-T. And again here, make sure that the value is pixels, not percent. Type -0.5 so that it's pixels. And for the vertical alignment, plus 0.5. Alright, and confirm. There you go. The transformation has now been saved. So we don't need this layer anymore. And we select this layer. And now we do it again. Hold Shift, Alt, Command, and press T. Again, and again, and again. There you go. A few times. Alright, there you go. I've now made copies until the copy says 20. I think that's enough. So we select here from 20 and hold Shift and select all the other layers we just created. And like we did earlier again, go up here to Layer, Arrange, and Reverse. There you go. The extrusion is now much bigger. And while these layers are selected, let's press Command-J or Strike-J again to group them. There you go. Double click here again. Extrusion. Big. There you go. Now we see the text style. Let's press Command-0 or Strike-0 to fit it to the screen. There you go. Looks nice. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a mockup file. So to show you how to use it and what I meant earlier, I'm going to go back to the smart object, to any of the smart objects, because the content is the same. They're just copies of it. So it doesn't matter if I double click on this one or in any of these. So double click here. Yeah, the smart object was already open. So, and you see here, like if I change this, like let's use the text tool and change it to, like here to Spidey. Yeah, confirm and save by Command S or Strike S. There you go, there's the saves here. And now if I go back to the main document, there you go. It has changed. So you can write in anything you want now. Let's change it back. Go back here to the smart object. and go to protocol here, edit, right, and press save again. All right. All right. And that's it. Now we have our Spider-Man text effect and our mockup. Let's group all these layers we've just created here for the main text content. Select this and hold Shift and press Command or Strike G. All right. And rename this like, let's say main. All right. And you know that in the logo of the films, there's also a subtitle here, and we're going to add this. And with that, you'll know what I meant earlier when I said, write this content here in uppercase letters. I show now what I meant. First, let's change the color here to white. Use the text tool, and let's click here, center, and let's write far from here. There you go. The letters now look completely different, even though it's the same font. Why? Because I wrote in lowercase letters. That means without holding Shift or anything. So double click here because it's too big. Yeah, let's increase it to, let's say, 100 points. All right, that's okay. There you go. Let's drag it a bit here. And let's align it by doing the same what we did earlier. Make a selection. To select the entire document, Command or Strike A. Make sure this layer is selected. Use the Move tool. Align it. Horizontal. There you go. And now cancel the selection. There you go. And that's it. And you can use this now to, like, when you want to write your full name, write here your first name and here your last name. It would surely look cool. All right. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it and that it helped you to get better in Photoshop. Don't forget to check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye.